I don't know whether there's a constitution. In fact, I doubt very much that they're constitutional. Welcome to Democratic Visions. Our guest is Ron Case. Ron is a longtime member of the Eden Prairie City Council, and Ron has decided, with the retirement of the incumbent mayor, to seek the position of mayor of Eden Prairie. Ron, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tim. Glad to be here.
So I know that you were a teacher for many, many years in the Eden Prairie school system, and then you become a director over at United Healthcare recently?
Correct. I taught for 33 years and retired in 2012. So I've been at United Health Group, I don't know how the years go by, but for 5.5 years.
And sort of an interesting anecdote to me, apparently your colleagues at one time on the city council appointed you to be the acting mayor in the event that the incumbent mayor wasn't able to serve. Have you ever been called upon to actually serve as mayor in your capacity as acting mayor?
So I have, and the whole acting mayor description is a bit of a misnomer and confusing to people, but we didn't choose the title. It's a statutory title, so it came out of state statute, gosh, I think 150 years ago, but it basically is an idea that if the mayor's ever out of town, somebody has to be that singular representative voice for the city in emergencies or catastrophes. So historically, it's always been up to city councils to choose whoever would be mayor in place of the mayor if the mayor's ever out of town. We in Eden Prairie have historically decided that that should be the longest serving council member. So after our mayor Gene Harris passed away and Nancy Lukens became mayor, I was then because Nancy had been acting mayor, I was the most senior council member. So from 2001 to 2006, and then again when I got back on the council about 2010, I think I became acting mayor again until the current time. So 13 years I think I've been acting mayor. And we debated, and that initially was a vote of 3-2, and I voted no.
So tell me, and the viewers, why do you want to be mayor of Eden Prairie?
So I want to be the mayor of Eden Prairie, and it sounds maybe a little bit trite, but I want to make a difference. I think as mayor, you get that opportunity to actually set an agenda, to lead, to serve, to go out and, again, maybe trite, but it's so true, to change lives, to make that difference. So I want that opportunity. It's been something that I've been close to, and really serving close with our current mayor and other mayors that I've served with.
Ron, your predecessor in office, Nancy Tyra-Lukens, I've heard really good things about her, and I assume she has all sorts of attributes. So what attributes stand out to you, and what would you like to emulate?
Well, Nancy is a hard act to follow, and we've been friends since since we first got elected in 1994, and we won the 2 seats together. Nancy is really smart. And I think that's an attribute. I don't know if I can, I'm either born with that or not. I don't know if I can emulate it, but she's really smart and she picks up issues super quickly. I think also she combines her smarts with, she's got a great heart, so she's very empathetic of others. And I think that's enabled her to care about the issues that need her attention, and then to be able to cast off, I guess, the issues that maybe a council should not be spending that much time on. So I just have deeply respected her thinking. She also comes prepared all the time, deeply prepared on about any issue that comes up. I feel like I do too. I respect that in her, and I want to continue that. I've enjoyed serving with her. I hope to follow in her path and expand on her legacy.
Kudos to Nancy. We'd agree on that, would we not?
Totally.
So
we're at a really interesting, critical time in that many of our roads are now 30, 40, 50 years old.
Infrastructure, right?
Well, and our housing stock. So it's just our entire city is getting to that point that we're at a transition time that's exciting. I don't think it's, I think it's positive in its possibilities, and I would love to be in that position where I can help lead that charge as we transition into another phase of our city's life.
So let's fast forward. Let's assume you're elected, which I think you will be elected. What do you hope to accomplish in your administration?
So I hope in the beginning to actually address this issue of, are we well positioned to go into this next phase? And by the way, I believe that we are. We have really great staff who have 5 and 10 and 20-year plans out there, but it might be a good time to address all of those issues. Are we well situated for parks? Are we demographically being agile and sensitive enough, I guess, to our changing demographics. And that's just not ethnic changing demographics, but it's aging changing demographics. Good example is that we sped up, is it speeded up? Sped up?
I think sped up fine.
Sped up. We sped up the pickleball courts that had been in the plans maybe for 3-4 years out. We were going to build 8 new pickleball courts so that a pickleball tournament could be held in Eden Prairie. I know that Edina is building them,
How
Bloomington.
about Golden Valley? They got a fantastic
Yes.
system.
So we do too. We now have a brand new 8-court system with a center area for in between tournaments for socializing. We looked at speeding that up because we realized, gosh, our aging senior demographics, of which I have now moved comfortably
Please,
into.
please.
But we saw the need that it was maybe if we wait 2, 3, 4 years, that's too long.
Let's talk a bit about transportation. Now, transportation, you can think of all sorts of transportation, but I think of roads when I think of transportation. Is that something that's something that comes into your radar screen looking forward?
You know, it does, because roads clearly need maintenance, but they also need to be rebuilt. And they may have a 50-year life, and at the time they're built, that may seem like that's a forever out there. But you know, our Eden Prairie, we have roads now that were freshly built 50 years ago, curb and gutter, everything perfect, and they're getting old today, and they'll need to be rebuilt. And the problem is most cities don't fund for that. We just don't. And so other cities, when they go to rebuild them, they have to get the money somewhere, and they assess the people along the road.
Oh, I think that's Edina. But go ahead.
I think so. And they get these people who have been paying taxes for, 35, 40, 45 years, suddenly are hit with a $28,000 tax bill. So in Eden Prairie, we've avoided that. Eden Prairie people no longer will have that cloud hanging over them because we fund it based on a gas and electric bill franchise fee, something that's, I think, incredibly creative. Cities are just beginning to look at this across the state. And so we now have a pool of money that's building up that will fund all of our rebuilds across our city.
Sort of like amortizing the cost going forward?
It is. It really is. It's a really creative and I find, I think, genius way to, down the road, fund all of our streets, and also funds maintenance of our streets. When even somebody goes to market and sell their house and say to people, if you buy into Eden Prairie, you will never be assessed or hit with those huge bills like so many of our sister cities
That's
around us.
very interesting to me. So we're into the transportation topic, and I want to segue just for a short period of time into Southwest Light Rail. What's going on there? Is that going to be of a benefit to Eden Prairie, in your opinion?
So first place, we all, every one of us, even at the city government level, ask county commissioners, Metropolitan Council, is it going to be built? And the answer is, and usually it's qualified slightly, but yes.
Good.
Meaning that the transportation funding from the federal government is there. It's different this year. It's not designated into projects, but we believe that we are we're not shovel ready, but we're so close to having all of our ducks in a row that it will be built. So with that in mind, is it a benefit to Eden Prairie? And I'd say absolutely yes on several levels. One is the more immediate benefit to us is the fact that we're going to have transit-oriented development around our stations. And so tremendous potential growth there in terms of mixed-use housing and having commercial development and just really the value of the land.
Mayor, I would suggest that as part of the language,
Light rail is not just about picking people up at their home. An important part of it is taking them to jobs. And there's a huge number of jobs in this area that will...
I think Commissioner McLaughlin made a great point that this isn't just about getting from Eden Prairie to Minneapolis, it's about getting from Eden Prairie to St. Paul and all points in between.
And it's good for Minneapolis and the rest of us too. And if we're going to be the competitive region we want to be, we need to move Southwest forward.
The second benefit is going to be harder to prove or show until it happens, but people my age are pretty cognizant and aware of millennial mindsets changing because we have children, and the idea of being off in a cul-de-sac in a suburb and driving everywhere is not necessarily on the radar of a typical millennial. And they love public transportation, they like city life in many cases, or at least having accessibility to inner cities. The benefits to us economically down the road, the benefits to our residents, I think will be astounding. Now, I don't know that I'll be alive. You're younger than I am.
I don't think so.
I'm not sure we'll be around to prove one way or the other, but it intuitively, I think it makes perfect sense that this is a tremendous benefit to the people of Eden Prairie down the road and today.
We'd be kind of the outcasts if we decided, well, why should we do this? You know, what's the immediate return? I think as you've just indicated, has to look long term at what the system is going to do for the country.
Absolutely, and I just have a sense that if the Twin Cities grows 1 million more people, which we're supposed to by 2040, I think we're going to need it all. I think we'll need enhanced buses. They'll probably be driverless. I think we'll need roadways that can manage cars that are driverless, but I deeply believe we'll also need mass transit. I think we'll need it all.
I went on your website, Ron, and I was pleased to see that you described the natural environment of Eden Prairie, which is a beautiful area, as one of the greatest assets of this community. What can be done to enhance that and preserve it going forward?
So I think it gets back to a little bit this idea that we're transitioning into this next phase, and so we have over 100 miles of a trail system that will need to be maintained. We have our park system in place, but we have tremendous assets in all of our playground equipment that every 25 years needs to be replaced, upgraded, new codes. It's just that being prepared to not just sit back and say, we've arrived, not that we're doing that. And again, I think our current council's been great with the plans and our staff has been great. But we just have to stay vigilant with that. The Doran Kemper House, Riley Lake Park, is one of the jewels of our park system. What do we need to do to prepare ourselves to continue to be this stellar city, cutting edge, and what else can we be doing? And I think environmentally, we haven't heard the final analysis of this, but we're going to be able to put solar panels on all of our city flat rooftops and actually have a company come in and develop their solar gardens and sell that at a discount back to our own Eden Prairie residents and pay the city rental fees to use our rooftop. I mean, it's win. So things like that, I think, can keep Eden Prairie staying with that stellar reputation that I think we have today. And I've said ever since I've been on the council, we don't necessarily have to be number one, even though I like that idea that we're number one. But when that proverbial family comes from Atlanta, Georgia, and they're looking to move into the Twin Cities, they contact their realtor and they say, where are the best places to live? Hey, I've got young kids in school. We like to recreate. We like to bike. Where's the top places to live in the Twin Cities? We've got to be on that list of 3 or that list of 5. I'd like to think we're number one, but we have to be on that list. And so whatever it takes to maintain that kind of a stellar reputation, we need to do. And by the way, taxes are a piece of that. If our taxes get too high, we're no longer on that list. So I'm not proposing, hey, just spend money. Not at all. Spend it wisely, appropriately. We've raised taxes very conscientiously and appropriately over the last 20 years, to the extent that we now have a tax system that if you take a $350,000 house in Eden Prairie and you plop it down in the cities around us, we're lower. Really? So we've done well. I guess you could even say we've done more with less, but we've done really well in building a city that I think has a great reputation. And one piece of that is our tax structure.
So you're obviously out and about as a part of your mayoral campaign. Have you noticed, this is a kind of a step back question, Ron, have you noticed that the discord of national politics is seeping into the local political system?
How could anyone? I guess I'm smiling because yes. I mean, I think we're all living and breathing it to the extent that it doesn't come up at family reunions anymore, and certainly not at work. But yes, it absolutely. And I've argued, again, I'm running nonpartisan. There won't be a Republican or Democrat designation next to my name. That being said, a lot of my supporters are one party or the other. I get a lot of support from both parties on particular issues, but occasionally the national politics will seep in, whether that's gun violence prevention. We took a vote with our city council to support our mayor, who signed on to the 350 mayors with the Paris Accord, and we took a vote as a council to support her, and it was 4-1. So my opponent in the mayor race was the one vote. That's again an instance of national seeping in. The gun violence prevention conversation has shown a 4-1 split with the council.
Same individual voting
The
against?
same individual,
I
yes.
see.
My opponent also was the 1-4-1 split in several different votes on support for the LRT.
All in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
The motion passes.
That being said, 99% of everything that we've all voted on has been 5-0 votes.
My understanding is that there have been some surveys taken that shows that the constituents of Eden Prairie do support that system.
Absolutely.
Am I correct on that?
Totally. And in fact, the Eden Prairie Chamber of Commerce, which is typically associated with a conservative viewpoint, they completely support the LRT because of the economic potential growth for the city of Eden Prairie. And polls are showing as high as 70% of
Are
our
you kidding me?
constituents
Wow.
are supporting LRT.
Well, Ron, I don't want to take any more of your time. You're probably going out door knocking again tonight. But thanks for stopping by. It's always good to see you, and good luck in your election.
Thank you, Tim. Always nice to be here.
Democratic Visions is handcrafted by volunteers from Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Edina, Minnetonka, and Bloomington. Watch us on select cable systems and on our YouTube channel. This is Carol Sundstrom.